Interest rates and inflation are out of control. Is your credit card debt also out of control? It's time to resolve your debt and take back control for a lot less than what you owe. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, then you need to call us right now. Debt Fix Pros can significantly reduce the amount you owe, and you could be debt-free faster than you think.
I knew we had to do something. Our debt was growing.
It was getting out of control, and we just didn't know what to do.
We saw an ad for Debt Fix Pros. We called, and they showed us how fast they could get us out of debt.
It really was amazing, and now we're back in control.
Call now, and we'll show you how easy it is to fix your debt. The call and consultation are free. Call Debt Fix Pros right now at 800-479-3522. That's 800-479-3522. 800-479-3522.
Welcome to the Turnpike Sports Spotlight. Dave Weishuttle with you. I'm excited to talk to our next guest because they are part of one of the most unique sports gaming platforms out there. Lucra Sports is a real money peer-to-peer platform that allows fans to actually compete with their friends. It's an incredible concept, and we're going to talk with a couple of the founders of Lucra. Along with being the creators of Lucra, Dylan Robbins is the CEO of Lucra Sports, and Michael Matting is the COO of Lucra, and they are both on the line with us right now. Dylan and Michael, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having us. We're looking forward to chatting.
I got to say, it's great to have you guys on. And like I said, Lucra is an incredible platform, and it's so unique in the industry. I'm curious, were you both involved in the gaming industry before you created Lucra? I mean, did you have backgrounds in that gaming industry, and that's why you created Lucra?
Absolutely not. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but Mike and I had a very different path to the gaming space. We actually met in the investment banking world. So Mike and I were both investment bankers, grinding away, building models and executing on M&A and LBO deals. But we were both huge sports fans, right? So our passion for Lucra came from our love of sports. Mike played competitive soccer at school. I played very uncompetitive sports, but I loved it myself. And we're just two competitive guys who love the sports space, but no background in the gaming industry.
What was your inspiration behind the creation of Lucra Sports? I mean, what did you see in the gaming industry that made you think that Lucra would do really well in the marketplace?
Mike, why don't you tell this one? Because Mike kind of was one of the originators of this in terms of how we kind of got going.
Yeah, sure. Dylan was an early gamer, early gambler, may have been doing it before there was federal or state legislation allowing it. And he, in his kind of off-peak hours, which were few and far between during the banking days, would try to get me and all of our friends in New York to just gamble with him on anything we were watching and playing. And I actually remember he had a long note on his app of all the people that he beat, whether it was about an NBA pick'em or a game of pool or golf on Sunday. He had a note of all the people that owed him money, but he really struggled to collect. It was kind of in the early days of Venmo, and he was chasing down his friends, and all his friends were too scared to use his book that he was using from his college days. And so we kind of set out to start Lucra as a way to level the playing field for casual sports fans. And kind of just create a friendly ecosystem where people could play against each other instead of against the sports book, and do so in a much less intense, less intrusive, more fun, more interactive, more casual ecosystem.
I got to tell you, it's such a fun concept. Who were your target audience for Lucra? I mean, were you looking for the casual bettors like yourself? Were there fantasy sports players that you were hoping to attract? Did you think professional bettors would enjoy something like Lucra? Who are you hoping to attract?
I think the best comp to it is anybody who has done a March Madness bracket or played fantasy football. And so that's 40, 50, 60 million Americans. We felt that those, and from speaking and myself being one of them, those people were a little too scared, a little too intimidated to take their chances with a daily fantasy product or, a bookie online. And so they needed an ecosystem where they felt safe and secure and, understood what was happening, were in control of what was happening. And so it's really about the 50 million Americans that play fantasy football or March Madness, or the 200 million Americans who play video games every year. That's our target market.
I got to tell you, you mentioned March Madness. Oh, my God, what a great time for Lucra. I didn't even think of that. I was like, oh, my God, how great would that be for March Madness? Because you're watching it with your friends anyway. You might as well try something like Lucra.
Especially because a lot of our customers or fans are young, right? Our demographic. Lucra's 18 plus.
Wow,
so a lot of young folks at college campuses who enjoy our product. And you're right. I think that there's a lot of love for your own college team. There's a lot of really exciting, so you get a lot of that rivalry going, right? I'm a Duke fan, and Duke UNC is on Saturday.
Oh,
and
wow.
So, that's a perfect time to get involved in the action with Lucra.
You raised the age of the people playing, and sports betting is new to a lot of states, which means it's new to a lot of people. I'm sure people are asking themselves out there, what is peer-to-peer betting, and how does that differ from me placing a bet on a mobile sports book in my state? What do you tell them? What's the difference between a traditional sports book and Lucra?
Absolutely. So first, just from a legal standpoint, which I think is important to cover, Lucra's not a traditional betting platform, right? So we're a peer-to-peer skill-based game, and that's why we're able to offer an 18-plus option for our customers. It's why we operate in different states than kind of the traditional sports books do. It's under a kind of a different regulatory lens. So as a peer-to-peer skill-based game, it does hamper us in terms of what we can offer, right? You won't see, Knicks versus Nets on Lucra, right?
Sure.
That's a sports bet. So we have these kind of more player-based, skill-based games, and also recreational sports, right? A big thing about peer-to-peer is our product, and actually most of our business these days actually expands outside of traditional sports. Dylan and Dave go to the bar, they play foosball, they play cornhole at the tailgate, they go for a Peloton ride. I mean, you name it, anything that you're competing with your friends, you can challenge each other on Lucra. So that's kind of from a legal standpoint how we think about it. From a kind of user experience standpoint, the main thing, and Mike kind of alluded to it, is you're playing with real other humans. The incentives are aligned. It's you versus me. There's no sports book that's taking a part of the vig. There's nobody that you're playing against that isn't, using their own skill and that has more information than you, et cetera. So it's just, me and Mike go and we head to the bar and we say, hey, I bet you $20 on this, or I bet you a beer on that, right? And I think that's kind of the ethos of our company. Is it's just casual, it's fun, it's friendly. Our average size of our contest is $11, right? It's not about bankrupting your buddies, right? It's about amplifying the fun and making that moment mean more.
Can you guys go into the process of creating an event to be involved with? Take us through the process. I mean, you alluded to it a little bit, but give us how, if you two were in a bar, what and you're looking at a game, how would you use Lucra to create an event?
Yeah. Mike, maybe give an example. We're watching the Australian Open and through Tennis One, because that just happened. We just did that last week.
Totally. So speaking, and I'll give you some background context here. So speaking of kind of, Dylan made the point of this is real life humans playing with each other on things that they're participating in or things that they're spectating together. Over the last couple of years, Lucra's made an evolution from a direct-to-consumer product that's available still in iOS and Android into a B2B business. And the reason kind of for that evolution is we recognize that there are, hundreds of thousands or millions of consumers that are already congregated inside of pre-existing communities, inside entertainment facilities, inside consumer platforms that they trust, that they know, that they utilize. And so to give you an example of, how Lucra operates today, there's a company that we just went public with our partnership with called Tennis One.
Yep.
It's kind of like the ESPN for tennis. They have scores, highlights, news, kind of all things tennis. And basically Lucra took its technology and integrated it directly into the Tennis One app. And so while previously, before the Lucra partnership, Tennis One was kind of just ESPN before ESPN got into betting. Mm-hmm. With Lucra, they added a whole new kind of real money game section. And so all their consumers can now challenge each other on, who's going to have more points, Djokovic or Alcaraz, or who's going to have more aces, Graf or another player. And so I think what's cool about what we've done is rather than try to encourage people to download a separate product. We've kind of brought Lucra to places that they're already comfortable with, that they already are consuming, and that they already trust.
See, I think that's great, especially how you're working with Tennis One. You know, working in this gaming industry and doing this show for a long time, I've interacted with a lot of officials from the professional sports leagues, and when they talk about betting and why they want to get involved in it, they keep talking about fan engagement. But I got to be honest with you, you know, tonight if I put a bet on the Knicks, you mentioned the Knicks, you know, the only real engagement I'm doing is watching them on TV, which, you know, I guess that's the league's intention. You know, when it comes to sports betting, they're really talking about increasing fan viewership. I don't know how much engagement I'll be doing with the TV, but playing on Lucra, you're actually engaging with other fans. I mean, tell us how fans interact when they're involved in an event that they actually create, especially like with Tennis One. How would fans interact with one another?
Absolutely. So I think you're right, and you're hitting a nail on the head. I think what Lucra shares with its partners is three things. One is we drive new customers to their business, right? So for example, maybe I'm on Tennis One and you're not, Dave, and I say, hey, I'll challenge you for $5 that, you know, Nadal's going to have more aces than Djokovic, right? You're like, oh, great. And you accept that contest. So now you're a Tennis One user. So number one, we're driving new customers. Number two, we're engaging those customers and helping retain them on the platform, right? Now, you and I are checking the Tennis One app during the match. We're seeing who's winning. We're talking smack, right? We have all of our head-to-head stats and leaderboards and who's up, who's down over time. We kind of create this digital wallet and this community between users on their platform. And by the way, you and I may know each other or we may not, right? We may just have met through this kind of cool new feature. And number three, which I think is critical, is the key here is that this is a new monetization engine, right? It's not just about adoption. It's not just about engagement. This actually allows for Tennis One and other partners that we have to drive a new revenue stream, right? So there's people placing real dollars through their platform. And a big thing I want to mention is that we've created an in-app wallet, right? So forget about just the wager itself. You know, you and I wager $20, you win. Now you've got $40. That's $40 that's in the Tennis One app that wasn't in that ecosystem before. What if you bought access to their premium subscription? What if you bought a tennis racket through one of their sponsors? What if you bought tickets to a future event? Like, there's a huge amount of opportunity for us to drive additional incremental value and revenue by just getting money in these ecosystems, right? So I think there's a lot of monetization potential for our partners through kind of the peer-to-peer contests that we're creating outside of just the contests themselves.
I got to tell you, the way you put it that way, if I had a bet with one of my friends on Tennis One, I would actually watch that more than the Knicks game that I anonymously put a bet on. So I think that's a great concept.
Let me give you one more that I think is really exciting. What if you and I were, you know, sitting at my apartment and we're watching the Knicks and the Nets game, and I say, hey, I think Randall's going to have more points than Dinwiddie or Claxton, whoever the top Nets guy is these days. I'm more of a Knicks fan myself. Mm-hmm. And you say, great, I'll bet you $5. And I say, you know what, Dave? I'll bet you the late night pizza, right? As Lucra starts to integrate with more partners, we're hooking up to point of sale systems. We're hooking up to other brands. It doesn't have to be just money, right? Lucra's SDK allows people to wager cash or cash alternatives, right? So we could in pickleball, we could play for court time. For Tennis One, we could play for a racket. With some of our other sports partners, we could play for a beer or a burger or late night pizza. And I think that's really cool about the evolution of our product is it really breaks down barriers for casual fans. A lot of people I talk to who maybe aren't comfortable putting money on the line, I say, hey, you want to bet a beer? They're like, of course, sure, right? So like it's a huge thing to destigmatize, to bring in material items into our ecosystem. And that's something that we're using with our partners in the next couple of months.
By the way, if I want a pizza off you, I'd text you after every slice just to rub it in your face.
Just rub it in. Rub it in.
Well, let me ask you something. You mentioned pickleball, and from your website, lucrasports.com, I saw Michael's a pickleball guy, and Lucra just did a deal involving pickleball and the dynamic universal pickleball rating. What is Lucra doing with pickleball, and how can pickleball fans use the platform? Because I got to tell you, that sport has exploded over the last couple of years.
Yeah, totally. So there's an interesting opportunity in pickleball similar to golf. And so there's about 30 million or so golfers in the United States, and there's about 3 million or so that have a handicap, that have kind of an official rating of how good they are. And let me tell you, Dylan's a great golfer. And for pickleball, there's more pickleballers than golfers in the U.S. There's about 40 to 50 million pickleballers in the U.S.
Really? Wow.
But only about hundreds of thousands of them today have a handicap. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to know how good you are relative to your peers, you should go and register with Duper, which is the official rating system of Major League Pickleball. It's a global rating system. They're live in over 100 countries, which is awesome. And what Lucra is going to release with them, sometime this spring, is the ability for average recreational players to compete with each other for real money, or for cash alternatives, like Dylan mentions, tickets, merchandise, subscriptions, etc. So pretty soon you're going to be able to go into the Duper app, which is available on iOS and Android. You're going to be able to find a match in your local neighborhood. And you're going to be able to, make that match not just, a friendly match, but a friendly match for cash. And
that's great.
Lucra is going to be the back end infrastructure that's kind of powering the real money match that you're participating in.
Like I said before, I think Lucra Sports is like the ultimate in fan engagement. Have you ever been approached by media companies or professional sports leagues to integrate your technology into their products? And I think it's such a great thing. You see NFL and they have these predictive games, and there's such, there's a space between fans because you're really not interacting or engaging. But with Lucra, you can really do that. Is that something in your long-term plans?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all those things are on the table. I think one of the unique things about Lucra is its peer-to-peer model, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of communities that have been built, whether they're communities that are fans of teams, whether they're fans of leagues, whether they're communities and sports chat ecosystems where people are talking about who's going to win or what the right bet is, etc. And Lucra, can really serve as a gamification layer to all of those ecosystems.
Sure.
Now, obviously, in the world of wagering and skill gaming, et cetera, there's some regulatory ideas that you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
And I think depending on the type of partner, kind of more at the league and the team level, we'd probably operate a more free-to-play version or play for merchandise, something that's a little less intrusive and a little bit more approachable. And then I think there's some ecosystems of pre-existing, chat-based platforms and betting content companies, et cetera, mm-hmm. where, it may be more appropriate to offer just a real money cash product.
I think one thing also to mention is I think there's a lot of really interesting opportunities outside of sports and media that we're really focused on as well, right? So our recreational games vertical, which allows fans to basically compete on anything, has really opened up the addressable market for us to thousands of companies that have been yearning to add real money gamification because they've seen the tailwind, right? They see what's happening with all the big sports books. They see the money coming into this space. And there's lots of, fitness companies, media companies, in-person entertainment companies. You see in-person entertainment, things like the Topgolfs of the world popping up everywhere left and right these days. And I think there's a huge opportunity to add gamification to those platforms where Lucra is really the player to go to, right? Like unlike the sports space where we all know there's a lot of competition and saturation and what we're doing is unique. There's a really awesome opportunity for us to kind of tackle that world on the recreational side. And we're very excited about that.
I think the easiest way to think about Lucra is, we're not really creating new behavior. We're basically taking behavior that already exists between individuals that happens offline. It happens on a court, in a stadium, at an entertainment facility. And we're bringing it online. And we're bringing the providers of that activity the ability to, control the experience and capitalize on the economics. Previously, at all these facilities, Michael and Dylan were challenging each other for cash or something else, and we were doing it over Venmo, over PayPal. We were going to buy F&B, but it wasn't anything the money wasn't passing through the partner's ecosystem. And so Lucra's basically just brought offline behavior online and allow our partners to capitalize on that experience.
After looking at your website, which is lucrasports.com, once again, I think one of the amazing things about Lucra is really the impressive list of investors that you have in the company. Tell us about who some of the investors are in Lucra, because I think there's some of the who's who in business and in sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things, two of the things we're most proud of outside of our product are our team and our investors. So I'd be remiss to not mention our team. Mm-hmm. We have some of the best folks in the industry, from legal to compliance to data to design to engineering to product to sales, marketing, you name it. I mean, we have some of the industry's best, and our team is what makes our product great. So first and foremost, that's something that we're really thankful for and always rely on. From an investor standpoint, it's really a great mix, right? We have some fantastic venture capital firms like Raptor Group and 76 Capital and Visible Ventures, but also some amazing team owners and owners of sports teams, folks like Mark Lazary, who have been huge, and Dennis Wong, who have been huge benefactors and helpful for us in terms of making connections and making intros and helping us understand the space. And we were really excited to bring in investment from Steve Kuhn, who was the founder of Major League Pickleball and Duper, to kind of align interests there. So it's been a great cap table, a great group of people to kind of advise us and help us grow. And we're looking forward to continue to do so in the years to come.
I'm curious, working in the gaming industry, I know that companies have to go in front of regulators in states in order to get their products approved for betting purposes and working in the state. Was that the case with Lucra? And was it challenging really to explain to regulators what your product is and how it works? Because it is so unique in the industry.
Yeah, it was an extensive process. I mean, we spent years and years and millions of dollars working on legal opinions, banking relationships, payment processing, compliance documentation, anti-money laundering, information security. I mean, you name it. I mean, there's too many acronyms to share around the things that we had to do and put together. A lot of conversations with regulatory bodies and gaming authorities. And I think one of the things that's been really nice about our sports product, very heavily regulated, and we have to be, really cognizant of which states we operate in based off what the laws provide. But what's really exciting about our recreational games product is it's really a clean slate. I mean, you and I putting $5 on a game of ping pong, completely legal thing to do. There's not a regulation against that. It doesn't fall under the UEGA. It doesn't fall under the Wire Act, and we're not charging any money to do it. It's free, right? So it's really just building a technology platform to facilitate these legal activities amongst friends, right? And I think that's really gives us a greenfield pasture to kind of really attack this market head on. But I'll tell you, the legal and compliance process to make that happen is a lot of work and a lot of time, but it's something we're very proud of. It's what we're selling to our partners, right? When you partner with Lucra, we've been working at this with 5 years, which in this industry is it's like 20 years, right? Because until PASPA wasn't repealed until 2018. So it's been a big part of our strength to be able to share with our partners that you're working with one of the industry's best when it comes to legal and compliance.
I think that one of our superpowers, and something that we get a lot of credit for, in talking to our partners, is we get asked the question all the time and speaking to executives. Everybody wants to add gamification. Everybody wants to, drive better engagement, drive, retention, increase the monetization of their customers. They say, hey, why can't I just do this myself, right? Why do I need to pay you guys to integrate your technology into my platform? Super fair question. And the candid response is you can do it. It's just going to take you probably, 12 to 24 months to stand it up yourself. And it's going to cost you 7 figures to do that. And kind of Lucra's value prop is we'll do it for you, at 1/10 of the cost in 1/10 of the time. And in a couple of weeks, you can basically integrate our technology and be able to dissect whether or not your customers want this type of gamification, want this type of new feature. And then together we can unlock new revenue streams. And so you're paying back your investment in the technology, multifold. And it's not a deviation from your product roadmap. You don't have to put your own engineering resources on it. You don't have to, dedicate a significant amount of internal time and capital. You can kind of outsource all of that to us. And as Dylan mentioned, we also manage all of the third-party vendor relationships around, KYC, payment processing, geolocation, fraud detection, transaction monitoring, all those third-party vendor relationships that we spent hours and hours and hours, working with and integrating into our technology. We bring it to you in a matter of minutes. And that's a really powerful value prop for each of our partners.
I'm curious, in terms of growth, what can we expect from the peer-to-peer social betting sites? Over the past couple of years, I've seen it's actually been amazing, the growth in that industry. But do you think that these sites and your site will be limited to sports? I mean, I always thought that reality competition shows or entertainment award shows, that, peer-to-peer betting sites should really branch out into that area. I'm curious to know your thoughts, what they are with regard to peer-to-peer social sites. I mean, what can we expect from that sector of the gaming industry in the coming years?
Yeah, I think we're going to really push the industry outside of sports, because that's a big part of our focus, right? Things like fitness challenges, things like bar games and board games and video games. I think that's going to be coming soon. You'll see that through Lucra. I think there's a lot of interest in things like reality TV, a lot of interest in things like the Oscars and the Grammys, etc. The problem there comes back to regulatory in terms of games of skill, right? These are pre-recorded shows. They're pre-taped. Like, people know the outcome. There are people in the world that know the outcome, which makes it very difficult for people to offer, real money wagers on them, right? Like, I think if you were able to offer bachelorette or bachelor wagering today, it would be a gangbuster business. And I'm sure a dozen people have tried. I mean, we've looked into it, and the view that we've gotten is that these are pre-recorded shows. It's just too high risk that the answer is out there, right? It makes it difficult for real money. So that being said, I think there's opportunities to expand in free to play, loyalty, cash alternatives. Like, I think you'll see a lot of cool things in this world coming out of the next 5 to 10 years, hopefully pioneered by us. But there's only so much you can do on the legal side of that coin.
Well, you mentioned the future. What can we expect from Lucra Sports in the near future? I mean, in the coming year, do you have any products or deals that the public can expect from Lucra? And how about your expansion to other states, other countries? What are your plans for the coming year? What's your business model for the coming year?
Absolutely. Yeah. You'll see us announce some big deals in the next couple of months. We've signed some amazing partners, some enterprise level clients that you would definitely know, that we're excited to share the news with the world. You'll see us, work into different categories like in-person entertainment. We're launching a few cool deals in that space. Consumer technology, we're launching a few new deals in that space. You'll see a deal from us in the fitness space soon. And look, I do think, you mentioned international expansion. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year you saw Lucra overseas somewhere, maybe in the UK or in Australia. So I think the business is growing. We're growing fast. We're hanging on for dear life. We're all working really hard, and that's how the startup world goes, right? You move 1,000,000 miles an hour and you just make things happen. You put out the fires and you put the Band-Aids on, you keep going. But we've been really proud of what the team's done to date, especially with the evolution of this B2B model. And I think, 2024 is going to be our biggest year yet.
Since the start of Lucra Sports, what has been the reaction to people who actually played on Lucra Sports?
It's been awesome. It's been so cool to see fans say, wow, like, I really was looking for something like this, right? Like, I'm much more comfortable playing with my friends than I am with the sports book, or, wow, this was really easy. Like, I didn't have to, it took me 2 minutes to do, right? Like, a lot of what you'll see from Lucra and a big part of our goals going forward is just simplicity, right? Like, this stuff, I think this stuff in our world gets made so complicated, right? Like, I placed a parlay on the Chiefs game last night that I was trying to explain to on Sunday, that I was trying to explain to my mom. She's like, what is this? What did you do? You have this over that. I had first touchdown for this person and then this and that. Like, it's complicated, right? And the odds are like 72-1. And I think just saying, hey, Mom, $5, Mahomes going to have more touchdowns than Josh Allen. She's like, cool, I'm in, right? And so I think that it's really cool to just kind of see the reaction to that, right? And I think that's what we're going to lean into this year.
Well, we're running out of time, but can you give out a website for Lucra Sports so people can check it out and follow what you're doing? And how do people get on the app so people can start playing on Lucra?
So 3 ways to get to us. First of all, check us out at www.lucrasports.com. You can read all about both our core product in the App Store and our B2B vertical. We've got case studies. We've got Solutions SDK. It's a pretty extensive website, so just definitely check it out. Number 2, if you're interested in playing Lucra, you can download Lucra on the iOS App Store and the Android Store. My username is DROB, D-R-O-B. You can challenge me anytime. I'm on there. Let's have some fun. And lastly, for our B2B partners, if you heard about this, you said, wow, like real money gamification, cash alternatives wagering, social, fun, community, fan engagement, monetization. If that kind of rings a bell with you, reach out to us, team@lucrasports.com, or go through our website and get in touch with us. We'd love to hear about your business and see how Lucra can possibly integrate to add value to your company.
Any social media sites you guys want to give out, or?
You name it, we got them all. We're at Lucra Sports kind of everywhere. So whether it's LinkedIn or X or Instagram, you can follow us at Lucra Sports. Come check us out.
Dylan Robbins, CEO of Lucra Sports, and Michael Matting, COO of Lucra Sports. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about the incredible things Lucra Sports is doing. I think Lucra Sports is at the forefront of peer-to-peer social betting platforms, and I hope you guys come back on and keep us up to date about the amazing things Lucra has planned for the future. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Dave, for having us. We'll be back anytime you have us.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it.
That'll do it for us this
Appreciate
week. We'll see you next time on the
Take care.
Turnpike.